Today I learned Hugh Jackman took a pay cut to ensure Logan would be rated R. Since rated films typically limit the overall audience that can attend, Jackman's reduced salary brought the budget down to an acceptable place to warrant an R rating. Today I learned Frank Zappa was a futurist who was enthusiastic for the possibility of holographic imagery, so much so that he recorded footage of himself in the early 70s with the intention to be used when technology got to that point. A Frank Zappa holographic tour using that footage starts next year. Today I learned, when roosters open their beaks fully, their external auditory canals completely closed off. Basically, roosters have built-in earplugs. This helps prevent them from damaging their hearing when they crow. Today I learned after millionaire won a Grammy for Ridin', he approached Weird Al Yankovic on the red carpet, thanked him for the white and nerdy parody and told him, "I think your parody is a big reason why I won this Grammy, because you made it undeniable that my song was the rap song of the year." Today I learned that Keanu Reeves runs a private charitable foundation to fund cancer research in children's hospitals. In 2009, he told Ladies' Home Journal, "I don't like to attach my name to it. I just let the foundation do what it does." Today I learned, CBS used to add bird songs to their golf broadcasts to get rid of awkward silences until they got caught by someone watching at home who knew the bird songs belonged to birds that didn't live in the region in which the golf tournament was being played. Today I learned Hershey's does not meet the legal minimum cocoa content to be described as chocolate in Britain. Today I learned of the speed camera lottery in Stockholm, Sweden. Drive at or under the speed limit and you'll be entered into a lottery where the prize fund comes from the fines that speeders pay. Average speed reduced from 32 km per hour to 25 km per hour, a reduction of 22%. Today I learned Stanley, co-creator of Daredevil, worried that blind people would be offended at how far he exaggerated the way a blind person's other senses are enhanced, until he started receiving letters telling him that blind people greatly enjoyed having Daredevil comics read to them. Today I learned that Lake Superior has an island which has a lake which has an island which has a pond which has a boulder, which, when the pond floods, becomes the largest island in the largest lake on the largest island in the largest lake on the largest island in the largest lake in the world. Today I learned why paper cuts are so painful as BC at a microscopic level. Paper is actually quite rough. A knife makes a straight cut, but paper acts like a saw blade and does more damage to cells and nerve endings. Paper also leaves behind tiny fibers and chemical residues, irritating the wound even more. Today I learned that after firefighters saved piglets from a barn fire, 6 months later the farmer sent them sausages made from the piglets as a thank you gift. Today I learned that according to a study, strict parents can turn their kids into more effective liars because children who are afraid to tell the truth learn more deceptive behaviors to avoid getting in trouble. Today I learned that Billy West, who does the voice of Philip J. Fry's on Futurama among other characters, intentionally made Fry's voice close to his natural voice as a job security measure because it would be more difficult to replace him. Today I learned that the moon is 1,400th the size of the sun but also 1,400th the distance from Earth, which results in the moon and the sun being the same size in the sky. A coincidence not shared by any other known planet-moon combination. Today I learned Anthony Daniels, who endured years of discomfort in the C-3PO costume, was so annoyed by Alan Tudyk, Rogue One, playing K2SO in the comfort of a motion capture suit that he cursed at Tudyk. Tudyk later joked that a "frick you" from Daniels was among the highest compliments he had ever received. Today I learned that the NFL made a committee to falsify information to cover up brain damage in their players. Today I learned Donnie Yen, the blind monk in Star Wars, Rogue, star of the IP Man films, was once leaving a Hong Kong nightclub with his girlfriend when they were attacked by a gang who had been bothering them earlier in the night. Donnie hospitalized 8 of them. Today I learned President Diouf began an anti-AIDS program in Senegal. Before the virus was able to take off, he used media and schools to promote safe sex messages and required prostitutes to be registered. While AIDS was decimating much of Africa, the infection rate for Senegal stayed below 2%. Today I learned if you publish a book in Norway, the government will buy 1,000 copies, 1,500 if a children's book, and distribute them to libraries throughout the country. Today I learned that comedian Ryan Stiles from Whose Line Is It Anyway has been a frequent fundraiser for children with burn injuries, raising over $500,000 for the Burn Children Recovery Center since 2009, helping the foundation to recover from the economic crash of 2008. Today I learned that Schwarzenegger felt interest in the movie Stop or My Mom Will Shoot 2, tricked Stallone into starring in it. Stallone later called the movie maybe one of the worst films in the entire solar system, including alien productions we've never seen. Today I learned in 1959 a white man from Texas disguised himself as a black man and traveled for 6 weeks on Greyhound buses. After publishing his experiences with racism, he was forced to move to Mexico for several years due to death threats. Today I learned in 1714, a Norwegian captain and an English captain had a 14-hour-long ship fight. Afterwards, both ships were badly damaged and the Norwegian captain was running out of ammo. He sent an envoy to the English ship, asking if he could borrow some of their ammo. They said no. Today I learned that in Singapore, people who opt out of donating their organs are put on a lower priority to receive an organ transplant than those who did not opt out. Today I learned that they drink 8 glasses of water a day is based on a 1945 recommendation that had no medical basis. The current recommendation is drink when you are thirsty. Unless you are outside on a hot day or are elderly, then drink a bit more. Today I learned, when Queen Elizabeth visited the set of Game of Thrones, she refused to sit on the Iron Throne, because there is a law disallowing her from sitting on a foreign throne. Today I learned that Charlie Chaplin made the Hitler-mocking film, The Great Dictator, in 1940 using his own money because none of the Hollywood studios were comfortable working the Germans as they had financial relations with them. The film is said to be one of the greatest works of Charlie Chaplin. Today I learned that soon after Bill Gates had gone to start Microsoft, a Harvard professor who had worked with him recalled he had moved to Albuquerque to run a small company writing code for microprocessors. Of all things, I remember thinking, such a brilliant kid, what a waste. Today I learned that the little boy known as Butt Kid who saved San Francisco while battling leukemia in 2013 is now cancer-free. Today I learned Mark Twain traveled extensively and once said travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth. Today I learned an Icelandic tradition called Jólabókaflóð exists, where books are exchanged as Christmas Eve presents and the rest of the night is spent reading them and eating chocolate. Today I learned many products are getting smaller due to shrinkflation. For example, Mars shrank its Maltesers, M&Ms by up to 15%. In the past, companies blamed the rising price of raw materials. Recently, these prices dropped back, but the shrinkage continued as manufacturers try to stealthily boost profits. Today I learned when Weird Al Yankovic asked Kurt Cobain to parody Smells Like Teen Spirit that Kurt asked him if it would be about food, and Al said it would be about how no one could understand his lyrics. Kurt found that extremely funny, and said absolutely. Today I learned Romans were known to create tombs for their dogs and gave them epitaphs to remember them by. One such inscription read, "I am in tears while carrying you to your last resting place as much as I rejoiced when bringing you home with my own hands 15 years ago." Today I learned Mr. T had T-cell lymphoma. He said, "Can you imagine that cancer with my name on it? Personalized cancer." Fortunately, he was able to beat it and is cancer-free. Today I learned of the Great Whiskey Fire of Dublin that killed 13 people in 1875. None perished as a result of smoke inhalation or burns. All victims died of alcohol poisoning by drinking the whiskey flowing through the streets. Today I learned Nintendo pushed the term video game console so people would stop calling competing products Nintendos, and they wouldn't risk losing their valuable trademark. Today I learned that an anti-seatbelt advocate, Derek Keeper, once wrote that Uncle Sam is not here to regulate every facet of life no matter the consequences. He later died after being thrown from his vehicle while driving without a seatbelt. Today I learned that for 4 years, Hugh Grant pretended to be his own talent agent under the name James Howley. He communicated with people via a fake email account and even disguised his voice with a Scottish accent on the phone. "I saved myself an absolute fortune," he said. Today I learned in 1988, Israel Kamakavivul called a studio at 3 a.m. and asked if he could record because he had a good idea. The studio owner said yes even though he already closed the studio. 15 minutes later he recorded Israel playing his ukulele and recorded Over the Rainbow in one take. Today I learned not long before his death, Freddie Mercury, confined to his bed, got to see an advance copy of The Wayne's World scene with Wayne and Garth headbanging to Bohemian Rhapsody. He loved it and approved of the song's use in the film. The movie, in part, helped launch Queen's comeback in the USA. Today I learned Wrigley's was originally a soap company that gifted baking powder with their soap. The baking powder became more popular than the soap, so they switched to selling baking powder with chewing gum as a gift. The gum became more popular than the baking powder, so the company switched to selling gum. Today I learned when the territory of Wyoming applied to join the U.S., Congress told them they'd have to stop letting women vote. Their response was, "We will remain out of the Union 100 years rather than come in without the women." In 1890 they joined as the first and only state to allow women to vote. Today I learned Ryan Reynolds has openly spoken about his lifelong struggle with anxiety, noting in 2018 that he carried out many interviews in the character Deadpool to alleviate his fears. Today I learned after his wife was denied water by upper caste people, Indian labor Bapu Rotajne managed to dig her a well in under 40 days and ended up discovering a water source capable of sustaining his entire village. Today I learned Bill Gates purchased the Leonardo da Vinci's Codex for $30,802,500. 3 years later he had its pages scanned into digital image files, some of which were later distributed as screensaver and wallpaper files on a CD-ROM as part of a Microsoft Plus for Windows so everyone could enjoy them. Today I learned, when former slave Jordan Anderson was asked to come back and work for his old master, he replied with a deadpan letter asking for 52 years back pay as proof of good faith. The letter has been described as a rare example of documented slave humor of the period. Today I learned that Anonymous sent thousands of all-black faxes to the Church of Scientology to deplete all their ink cartridges. Today I learned during 2005 in Glendale, a suicidal man parked his car in front of a commuter train. The train derailed and collided with 2 additional trains, resulting in over 100 casualties. The man survived and was sentenced to life without parole. Today I learned psychologist Laszlo Polgar theorized that any child could become a genius in a chosen field with early training. As an experiment, he trained his daughters in chess from age 4. All three went on to become chess prodigies. And the youngest, Judith, is considered the best female player in history. Today I learned in 1995, France found a man guilty of killing a teen girl, but he was able to avoid sentencing by hiding out in Germany. In 2009, the victim's father hired a team to kidnap the killer out of Germany and dump him in front of a French courthouse. It worked, and he is now serving 15 years. Today I learned that Super Mario is named after real-life businessman Mario Segale, who was renting out a warehouse to Nintendo. After Nintendo fell far behind on rent, Segale did not evict them but gave them a second chance to come up with the money. Nintendo succeeded and named their main character after him. Today I learned that Sir Christopher Lee, who played Saruman in The Lord of the Rings, read the trilogy every year from the year it was published to his death in 2015. He was also the only member of the cast and crew ever to have met J.R.R. Tolkien himself. Today I learned that when Diogenes, the ancient Greek philosopher, noticed a prostitute's son throwing rocks at a crowd, he said, "Careful, son, don't hit your father." Today I learned that sodium citrate is the secret ingredient to make any cheese into smooth, creamy nacho cheese sauce. Coincidentally, sodium citrate's chemical formula is sodium citrate. Nacho. Today I learned that a man named Oswald can be heard only at embankment station stating "Mindthe Gap." In 2012 they were planning on changing all voiceovers but decided not to at the station when Oswald's wife told them that he had passed away in 2007. She loved listening to him when on the way to work. Today I learned that there is a monument in Georgia which gives instructions in 8 languages on how to rebuild society after an unknown apocalyptic event, whilst also functioning as a compass, calendar and clock. Today I learned, according to Matt Groening, Fox was never supportive of Futurama, as they moved the show around from time slot to time slot and predictably for 4 years, which resulted in poor ratings and its cancellation in 2003. This move left many Futurama fans and production crew shocked and angry. Today I learned that the Sony PlayStation was never meant to be a product. It was intended to be a new console that would play exclusively Nintendo games on CDs. Instead, Nintendo backed out of the deal at the last minute. Sony went ahead and launched what would become the most successful console of all time. Today I learned that George Washington declined to run for a third term of office because he believed his death in office would create an image of a lifetime appointment. The precedent of a 2-term limit was created by his retirement from office. Today I learned that organ donation is on an opt-out basis in Singapore. Citizens who opt out have a lower priority of receiving an organ should they need one. Today I learned of Billy Ray Harris, a beggar who was accidentally given a $4,000 engagement ring by a passing woman when she dropped it into his cup. He never sold it. 2 days later the woman came back for her ring and he gave it to her. In thanks, she set up a fund that raised over $185,000 for him. Today I learned a Comcast customer who was constantly dissatisfied with his internet speed set up a Raspberry Pi to automatically send an hourly tweet to Comcast when his bandwidth was lower than advertised. Today I learned on the set of The Princess Bride, Andre the Giant once let out a 16-second fart and brought production to a standstill. Nobody said anything except director Rob Reiner, who said, "Are you okay, Andre?" To which Andre replied, "I am now boss." Today I learned Pearl Jam discovered Ticketmaster was adding a service charge to all their concert tickets without informing the band. The band then created their own outdoor stadiums for the fans and testified against Ticketmaster to the United States Department of Justice. Today I learned then 13-year-old Danielle, a Girl Scout in San Francisco, was the first Girl Scout to make news by selling cookies outside the marijuana dispensary. She sold 117 boxes in 2 hours. Today I learned when Charlie Sheen came out as HIV positive, it led to a 95% increase in over-the-counter HIV home testing kits and 2.75 million searches on the topic. Dubbed the Charlie Sheen effect, some said that Sheen did more for awareness of HIV than most UN events. Today I learned Muhammad Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title, had his passport revoked and faced a 5-year prison term for refusing to serve in the US Armed Services at the height of the Vietnam War. "I ain't got no quarrel with those Viet Cong," he said. "They never called me NR." Today I learned a woman named Glenda Blackwell brought a scratch-off lottery ticket to prove to her husband that buying lottery tickets was a waster of money and accidentally ended up winning $1 million. Today I learned that since Uber was introduced in New York City in 2011, drinking-related car wrecks decreased by 25 to 35% in all boroughs. Today I learned Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash did not allow the TV show Glee to use any of Guns N' Roses music despite many attempts from producers. He stated, "Glee's worse than Grease and Grease is bad enough." Today I learned you were more likely to get a job if you had smallpox scars in the 18th century. The scars proved that you already had smallpox and could not pass it on to your employers. Today I learned about an orangutan named Ken who escaped from his enclosure at the San Diego Zoo multiple times in the 80s. His apparent goals were visiting other animals, throwing rocks at a despised orangutan rival and taking photos with tourists. Today I learned MRI of dogs' brains show that they see owners as family and prioritize the smell of humans over everything. Today I learned the second officer of the Titanic, who survived by swimming from the sinking ship to a capsized raft, later in life sailed his civilian craft to Dunkirk and helped evacuate over 130 men. Today I learned in 2009 Stephen Hawking held a party open to all, but only publicized the party after it was over so that only time travelers would know to attend as expected. Nobody showed up to the party. Today I learned that an orca killed a great white shark near California's Farallon Islands in 2000. The smell of the dead shark's carcass caused all nearby great whites to vanish. A great white with a satellite tag in the area was seen to immediately dive to a depth of 500 meters and then swam to Hawaii. Today I learned a boy dying of an incurable illness wanted to meet Luke Skywalker. In character, his mental state devolved to the point where he did not realize Luke was fictional. Mark Hamill agreed to dress up in character and meet the boy. He spent hours answering questions. Today I learned that physicist Heinrich Hertz, upon proving the existence of radio waves, stated that it's of no use whatsoever. When asked about the applications of his discovery, "Nothing, I guess." Today I learned that in Hinduism, atheism is considered to be a valid path to spirituality, as it can be argued that God can manifest in several forms with no form being one of them. Today I learned NYPD officer John Perry was turning in his retirement papers on 911 when the first plane struck. He asked for his badge back and ran to help. He was killed while assisting a woman in the South Tower as it collapsed. Today I learned that Robert Downey Jr. only got clean because his girlfriend, now wife, saw him on drugs, then gave him an ultimatum of quitting or losing her. He stopped at Burger King on the coast and threw his drugs in the ocean. She is now known around Hollywood as the miracle that saved Robert Downey.